Hey, and welcome to the channel. Today we're a couple of miles from home and there is a car show on, and being rather a fan of car shows, I've dragged Joanne out to go to Lupton House to see this car show, which is entirely free. Don't know what it'd be like, but come along with us. So neither of us have been to Lupton House before, and this will give us an opportunity to see what it's like. We've parked in a field opposite the drive, especially for this event because of the number of cars expected, and we're walking up what is a fairly lengthy drive to get to the house. Normally you would just drive up here and go to the car park nearby. En route we see this absolutely fantastic giant rhubarb. And who doesn't like a giant rhubarb? Whilst I love a car show, Joanne is less of a fan and does her own thing whilst I look around and take in what to me is a beautiful sight of all this old machinery. There were three zones in use by the car show. One was on the way in, which was food and drink, and then the main area which we're in at the moment, which was in front of the house, and that housed the majority of the cars. The separate areas seemed to be reserved for exotic Italian cars as well as some American cars, and the final area was there for stall holders and vendors and was to one side of the house. The house itself was in obvious need of some repair and basic painting.
What do you run?
I've won.
Oh.
I very rarely actually get any pictures.
Whilst I appreciate the technical engineering that goes into Ferrari, they don't actually somehow quite tip my boat. We're now in the small part of the show that concentrated on the Italian exotic cars and the American vintage cars. And there's something about these American vintage cars. They're the cars that I grew up. They were the cars that were on the American television series that I used to watch when I was a boy, and it's really nice to see them. This is starting to make me feel old. My second car was a Rover P6, it's the same reg as this one, P-Reg, and it looked very much like this, but all in white, and it had the touring kit on the boot as well. Absolutely gorgeous car and a real pleasure to drive. It was handled superbly for what was a relatively large car. And another car from my youth, the Mark I Capri, every boy racer's dream. So one of my favourite cars of all time, and the one that every self-respecting criminal was absolutely wanting to be seen in, the Jaguar Mark II, as epitomised in such shows as the Sweeney and others. Absolutely beautiful car, beautiful lines, really love this car. I actually had an S-Type, but a poor imitation. are so many cars here that were around in my day, and ones that either I or my friends either owned or coveted. Absolutely gorgeous specimens, and all of them were actually in really good condition, but boy does it make me feel old. And here we have the Frog-Eyed Sprint. I don't think you'll ever find a car that looks happier and more personable than the Frog-Eyed Sprint. Absolutely gorgeous. One thing that strikes me is how absolutely smaller the old cars were compared to a modern car. You know, they're minuscule. I suspect it's all the safety stuff that we have to have on these days, but they're really, really tiny. And another really good example of a favourite of mine, the Jaguar E-Type Roadster. Really nice example. And next to it, its younger brother. This one brings back some memories. In 1976, my friend's mum had one of these and she used to get us a lift to school, and then when my mate passed his driving test, she gave him the car for the evening and £100 to spend, which was a lot of money back in those days. Whilst not considered vintage, this Volkswagen was absolutely superb with its gull-wing doors. Who doesn't love a gull-wing door? that, we decided to get something to eat and have a look and see what's around. So there was burgers or hot dogs and not a lot else. So we enjoyed a hot dog each, which was quite nice. Coming on to a grand entrance were the Star Wars characters. Not sure what they were doing there or why they were at a car show, but who knows. So I think Joanne probably didn't appreciate this car show to the same extent that I did, but I absolutely loved it. It brought back loads of memories, and it's really sad to think that these cars are considered vintage and yet they were the cars that I grew up with. But it was a real interesting experience for me. I really enjoyed it. Come again another year.